is going to torture her basically. And I think I was sort of like, why is Merle telling him this? I think he's just sort of like, really, Rick's going to do this? Because I don't really believe he's going to do it. He says Rick doesn't have the spine for it. And later Merle said to Michonne, he was the guy that came back for me on that rooftop. So he thinks that Rick is soft. But as far as Michonne, I mean, Michonne knows that Rick
changed his mind.
Did this. No, I mean...
Or she doesn't know yet,
because when she's walking with Merle says, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he would go through it either. So I think, I guess Merle started the plan earlier than he was supposed to or something, because he thought Rick wouldn't go through with it. Because then Rick seems surprised that he can't find Merle and Michonne after he changed his mind. So as far as Michonne knows, she's agreeing with Merle that she doesn't think Rick would have gone through with it. But as far as she knows at this moment, that's Rick's plan. She doesn't know for sure he changed his mind. So you would think that we're going to see some kind of a face off about that between Michonne and Rick. I would be pissed if I was her. Yeah. Do we not see that? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm sort of like, I might have, like, that huge fight scene in The Ones Who Live, I might have been like, and then another point.
Remember when
we first met? Remember when you never sold me to the governor, you piece of shit? Like, I'd have been raging. But, you know,
that's a marriage fight that's going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
You're gonna think
she wins everything ever because she's like, well, you tried to sell me to the governor, and he's like, okay, fair point. Yep, we can watch what you want on TV.
Yep. So then Rick sees Ghost Laurie again, and
Ghost Laurie.
I mean before seeing Ghost was about feeling bad for losing people he felt responsible for, and so my take on this is he's feeling responsible for Michonne maybe, and so that's right when he decides, I can't go through with this, gathers everyone together, tells them everything, that he was made this deal with the governor, he was going to hand over Michonne, changed his mind, but Merle already took her. And he says, I was wrong not to tell you, and I'm sorry. What I said last year, that first night after the farm, it can't be like that. What we do, what we're willing to do, who we are, it's not my call. How you live, how you die, it isn't up to me. I'm not your governor. And basically, we vote on everything. So I thought that was all interesting, because Rick's arc has been all about like taking responsibility for everyone's safety and then feeling so torn apart when they die or get hurt. And I just think that got to a point where he's become just as sort of narcissistic as the governor, where he feels like he's the only one who should have agency. And it almost feels like everyone are just objects, just like the governor, lying and manipulating them and sending other people to do his dirty work. It happens to be the same guy, Merle, that the governor sent, and Rick, but
employing Merle.
Right. But, yeah, so he's talking about when he declared this is not a democracy anymore, but now he's like, no, we all need to have agency in our lives, and I'm offloading that responsibility back to you guys so we can all decide together. And so I think that fits well in his arc. I feel like he goes back and forth a little bit, though, because later on he becomes more overbearing again. But for next season, this moves into like where they have this council at the beginning of season 4, and Rick's not even on the council. I don't remember.
No, I don't think so. He's just farming.
Yeah.
He's just farming. It's funny what you were saying about like delegating things. I think there's such interesting questions in there about cruelty and the machinations of cruelty and how removed you can be from a cruel decision. And a lot of that, speaks to a lot of political decisions that are made across the globe in every country. How easy it is to make decisions when it's not you that's getting your hands dirty. Like, how many of us would eat meat if we had to physically kill the animal that we were about to eat?
Right.
Like, I couldn't, but I do. So, like, there's it's such an interesting thing of like, I want to diffuse this guilt. I want to get people to agree with me. I want to make someone else do it. I want to, I don't want to be the person that's directly responsible for this. And that's something that I think does come back in this show. And it's like a neater version of what they were getting at with Randall.
Yeah. Or when you get to the Commonwealth, that's big in that one, where they have all this bad stuff going on outside of the Commonwealth that people there don't realize.
Yeah. And they're just like, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Like, whatever, I'm happy not knowing.
Hmm.
It's fascinating because it's everywhere, every society, the good, the bad, the
Yeah.
ugly. Like the further removed you are from something, the harder it is to feel that in your bones. And
Yeah. You
yeah,
don't feel the cost of
no,
what
you
we
don't
get
at all.
to experience here.
And then you see that with the Greens, Herschel is so disgusted at the idea of handing Michonne over. But this follows on from a conversation, I think, about one of the prisoners or Merle, where Rick's like, are you genuinely okay with having them here with Beth, with Maggie, like appealing to Herschel, like, these are your children, protect them. And then you see Herschel do this amazing kind of biblical reading, which I should have looked up which one it
Mm.
was. I'm sorry. Um,
We need Rachel.
which is read over Rick doing some prep for getting Michonne, where he sees Laurie on the bridge twice, obviously as a kind of manifestation of his consciousness. And he interrupts Herschel to say he's not going to do it, just as I think Herschel's about to accept that that's what's happening, when he's saying to the girls what I wouldn't do to keep you girls safe. And then Rick comes in and says, deal's off, we're not doing it.
And
Which is interesting.
Herschel's like, well, I changed my mind too. We should totally do
And Herschel's like, what? No, I didn't say anything. Hmm? And they're like, Daddy, what are you saying? He's like, nothing. What? Hmm? Sorry, what?
it.
Yeah, it's a rough one. It's like we've been rewatching The Good Place, as I mentioned last week, and Peter's like, it's sort of like a very Walking Dead trolley problem.
Yeah,
Like
there's
of
all kinds of trolley problems in The Walking Dead. And if you play,
mm,
I think you know this, but for listeners, if you decide to play the Telltale Walking Dead game, you're confronted with that kind of thing a lot, and you have limited time to decide like who to save, whose leg to cut off, or whatever stuff like
oh my
that.
God,
It's
it's so
really
trist. That's why I stopped
stressful.
playing the games. I was too stressed out. I was like, they
Yeah.
were so good. And I
Yes.
loved the Game of Thrones one. Was we were talking
Yeah,
about the Game of
it's
Thrones
good.
on Thursday. It was so good. But fucking hell, they were stressful. I just and I couldn't deal with. I think it actually made me realize that I couldn't cope with having a child, because every time like little Clementine would look at you and the game would be like, Clementine will remember that you
I
said that. I was
know.
like,
Yeah.
no.
I know.
I was like, don't remember that, Clementine.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like
Oh,
after I
it's
finish
awful.
yelling at my kids, I'm like, okay, future therapy.
Do they look up at you and you see like little text going like, Bodhi will remember that you said that? Like, no, awful, awful.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Glenn and Maggie.
Yay!
Yay.
Love is real. It's a really weird vibe when you get your ring from a
A
dead
dead
lady's
woman's
hand.
head.
Yeah. Peter just looked up from his like computer and was like, what's he doing? And I'm like, shopping for an engagement ring. And he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And then Maggie's like, where'd you get that? And he's like, oh, I just found it.
I just cleaned it with like my own
Yeah.
and or something.
And
I don't know. Like
she's like, you got it off a zombie finger, didn't you? Yeah, you gross.
you nasty.
I don't
But I'll
want that.
marry you anyway.
So Glenn asks Herschel's permission to marry Maggie, and Herschel's
Of
so
course
on
he did.
board. I mean, it's funny because he shows him the watch, and he's like, "You gave me this, and I didn't know what it meant back then, but now I fully understand, and I know what it takes." And so I went back. And the dialogue when Herschel first gave it to him in the, I think, finale of season 2, he said, "You become a father someday, you'll understand no man is good enough for your little girl until one is." And so Herschel had already made the decision then, like, yeah, I'm going
Hmm.
to allow this man to marry my girl,
Yeah.
and Glenn is just now coming to that himself, like, okay, I feel like I think it was sort of a crucible for him to have to be there when the governor brutalized Maggie, and then
Yeah.
for him to wrestle with it, and he made it more about himself. But now and I heard someone wrote in last week about this and had a really good message that I heard. But anyway, he's like, I made it too much about myself. I needed to be there for her. And so now
Mhm.
he's ready for that. I'm ready to be there for Maggie. And so he's
Yeah.
ready to step up and be good enough to be good enough for Herschel's daughter.
And I think obviously me being the like cynical person that I am, I have thoughts about people asking for permission for marriage, but to me, this is perfect because it's absolutely the kind of man that Herschel is and the kind of family the Greens are, that a traditional move like that makes complete sense. And it's carried out very well here by Glenn, and it's just lovely.
Jenny asked me, I was surprised because Jenny's a very modern, progressive person who doesn't seem to usually conform to tradition very much, but she asked me to ask her dad if I could
Aww.
marry her. And I was so nervous. And she wasn't in the room, and I asked, and he said, yeah, he's like, I can't really control what she does anyway. That was his answer.
Like looking up from a newspaper, like, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
like knock yourself
whatever.
out, whatever. She might not say yes. Like,
I liked when
it's nice though. It's
Glenn
lovely.
Glenn handed her the ring and said here. It doesn't sound very romantic, but the way it played
Yeah.
out, and she just said yes. So that I
Yeah.
like that. What I like about so few words is it just shows how connected they are, that they understand each other without needing to say much.
I love that. And it's yeah, it goes to show how untraditional in some ways they are as well as
Yeah.
having this backlog of amazing family and traditions, but also being quite Spartan about things, like in a nice
Yeah.
way. It's lovely. I just love it.
I mean, I think, yeah, sometimes tradition and ritual can make things feel inauthentic because you're going through motions, and you can bring authenticity to that. But when you don't have that sort of skeleton there of whatever the tradition is, then it is just all pure authenticity, like
Yeah.
pure love right there. And it's so
lovely.
great to have these two characters who are both just such good people in love. That's a nice thing to have in this bleak show, until
Yeah.
it's gone.
And I know. I fucking know. And I will say the ring is like so much nicer than the one in The Ones Who Live. The one in The Ones Who Live is disgusting.
Oh, really? I
This
didn't even
ring
know
actually really nice. Just saying.
Where
Do
did
you not
that
remember? I
ring
went
come
on a
from?
rant.
I
I don't
forgot.
even remember. It's something to do. It was something to do with Father Gabriel. Like I
Oh,
don't remember.
and what's her name?
uh, Anne
Yeah,
Jadis.
Jadis, maybe. I forget.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you gonna
Ugh.
say?
Whatever. No, that was it. I was just like that ring is just
Mm.
nicer. Just saying. Anyone thinking of buying a ring, I would say that one's nicer. But whatever.
I thought there was some nice dialogue and lines in here when Merle says you're a late bloomer and Carol says maybe you are too. I was like, who wrote this? This is great. I bet it was Nicole Beatty because she does good Merle episodes. But no, it was
Oh.
Gimple. It was Scott Gimple wrote this
Yeah, it was a
episode.
Gimple
Yeah.
episode. This is we're coming into Gimple's golden era
Yeah,
soon, I think. Like this is good stuff.
but it sort of makes sense that Michonne, if you buy into what I was saying before, serves a similar role here for Merle that she ends up serving for Rick later on. Well, that sounds bad, but she's got her shit together and she's helping someone else get their shit together. And
She's a
Gimple
smart
wrote
lady.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
I liked when Merle said, "We got any whiskey? Hell, I'd even drink vodka." I just think that's funny because right now I'm turning into this whiskey snob, so I totally get it.
Oh, amazing.
What you said already, you got to play the hand you're dealt. I only got one. That's very clever for Merle. Works on multiple levels.
It's funny, the stuff about his hand in this episode is he seems to have reached a bit of a conclusion about some of it, like a bit of peace. He's like, I thought a lot about you, Rick, but it's not actually anger. There's like frustration, but he's not going to kill Rick anymore for that. He's just sort of. And when he says, I thought a lot about you, Rick, and then he says to Michonne later, he's the guy who came back for me on the roof. Maybe he's starting to realize that that's the true judge of Rick's character rather than the fact he banged him up in the first place.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean, my thought about that is he saying that makes Rick soft, or is he wondering, does that make him Rick soft, or does that just make him a good kind of person? And I want to be that too. Maybe it's sort of, he doesn't quite know,
Little of column A, little of column B.
Yeah. When Herschel said about the governor, he's one man, there will be others like him. I'm like, yep, they're coming up.
Yep. Just round the corner, girl. Yep.
All right. I guess I just have notes left too. So what do you got?
I think I might have covered all my notes. So I've got my timeline and IMDb dive, but
okay. I have
Rick says
notes.
we are the greater good rather than we are the Walking Dead, which is good. Yeah, no, I think we've covered mine.
Okay, seeing Daryl react to zombie Merle and crying in anguish, it made me think about how Daryl in season one mocked anyone who suggested the walkers were anything other than mindless monsters.
Yeah.
It's just not that there's anything wrong with that when you're deciding how to handle walkers. It's probably better to think of them that way, but it's just an
Mhm.
interesting contrast when it's your brother. You have a different point of view, you know. Now he
Yep.
sees him as the former humanity of Azed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then the the darkest two things that I can remember in the Walking Dead comic, we've talked about quite a few times now, but it's when the governor ties up Michonne and rapes and tortures her, and then when Michonne pays him back by dismembering him piece by piece with a spoon, shown in graphic detail in the comic. And
Hmm.
we wondered, what are they going to do with that in the show? And I think the show is clearly implying that this governor has the capacity and the intention to do the same.
Yes.
Merle says, give him that girl. He ain't going to kill her. You know, he's just going to do things to her, probably take out one of her eyes, both of them most likely. That's to signal to his comic readers that, yeah, he wants to do what he did in the comic. And
Hmm.
I don't know for sure, but I believe Michonne at this point probably would also have the capacity, if he did do what he did in the comic, to do the same thing that Michonne did in the comic, maybe, right?
Yeah. I think it's a neat way of nodding to that horror without doing it on screen.
Yeah, and I'm thankful they didn't do it on screen. I think
Mm,
the comic can be more intense than the show, and in
definitely.
this case, they toned the show down. And maybe in the moment, I was sort of wondering, was that the right thing to do? But in hindsight, I'm just glad they did that, especially after they did not tone down the moment where Negan killed Glenn, and I think that was a mistake. You know?
Oh, yeah, no. And having seen that, I'm like, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Well, this is day 312.
Okay.
This is happening in the same timeline as the second half of Prey. So at some point during this day, Andrea has arrived by the prison and been caught by the governor. Interestingly, I had it in my head that we saw Rick's perspective of that scene in this episode. The closest we see is him catching Michonne in the eye line of his gun from the watchtower. Um, I don't know if that means Michonne was actually near the governor and Andrea at that point, and that's another point where she could have intervened but didn't realize they were there.
Oh, so this is the same day that Andrea shows up
Yeah.
and almost gets to the prison. Okay.
But then Peter was like, wasn't the governor busy killing Merle? So
Yeah,
the
that's
timeline might
confusing.
be
Yeah.
janky here. Or maybe he like stopped off on the way back. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I don't think that's right because, well, I mean, what did they how much he gave Rick 2 days to decide whether to hand over Michonne? Is that right? And to meet him back there at noon in two
yeah.
days, I think. I think
If
that's
he
right.
got Andrea early in the morning, I guess, and
Yeah.
drove
So I
back and
think it
then
was
drove
within that
back.
2 days that all of that happened with
Yeah.
Andrea and the governor.
I'm still not over the fact it's autumn and we're saying that it's July, but whatever. Um, IMDb dive. This title, as many listeners know, comes from volume 6 of the collected edition of the comic book series. In said volume, Rick, Glenn, and Michonne, having been captured by the governor upon their first meeting in volume 5, escape from Woodbury and make it back to the prison. And the second fact, which I thought you would really like, if it turns out to be true, when Merle is sitting in the car, drinking and blasting music in order to attract walkers, a zombie emerges from a building that's an obvious nod to the bald zombie at the airstrip from George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. It's wearing the same clothes, has a completely bald head, and also has the exact same injuries as in the
Hmm.
movie.
Nicotero does that a lot. He has tribute
Yeah,
zombies. Yeah, I like it.
yeah, so I wondered when it came out, I was like, yeah, that is quite a tribute zombie there. So yeah, that's my facts.
Cool. Only on The Walking Dead would ripping a dead woman's fingers off be part of one of the most romantic gestures ever on the show.
Oh wow. Uh only on The Walking Dead would Merle be the answer to your problems.
To any problem,
To
as
any
opposed to being
problem.
the problem.
Yep, yep, yep.
back. It's time for Listener Moans, Groan the Grunts. And we'll start with a little recap from Steve Brown.
Yay.
Hello, the cat. This is Steve, and gosh, time just got away from me this week, so I hope I get this in time. Oh, and so we start with, I guess Rick has told Daryl and Herschel about the deal with Michonne, right? Don't remember how this plays out because it sounds like Rick is saying he's going to give Michonne to the governor, but I think there's some sort of twist, isn't there?
Nope.
So, okay, Rick has enlisted Merle's help, but Merle doesn't believe Rick will be able to do it, and Michonne doesn't know anything about it yet either. Okay. Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about this. This is the beginning, the transformation of Carol, right? I mean, not the beginning. It's been happening for a while, but we're really starting to see it here with their conversation with Merle.
Yeah, actually, I meant to comment on that. I feel like Carol in this episode feels like Carol now. In this interaction with Merle, it's like, oh yeah, this is the Carol we know. She's
this
like, yeah,
I'm
not scared anymore.
Yeah.
And Daryl trying to broker some peace between Merle and Glenn by going to both of them, I guess, separately, right? Oh, now I think I remember. He's getting the phone because it's got wire in it because he's going to actually take Michonne because he doesn't think Rick will actually do it. Rick's hallucinating Lori again. Okay, so Rick did change his mind. He's not going to do it. Oh, that had to suck. Michonne being dragged like that by Merle. Oh, and now Daryl's going after Merle and Michonne. He just called Rick family. Wow, that has got to be the loudest car alarm I think I've ever heard in my entire life. Ooh, when Michonne just crushed that Walker's head with her boot. Oh, I remember this now. This is where Glenn gets the ring and happens to find a Walker with the same ring size as Maggie. I mean, it's sweet. It's just a little bit, huh? Oh, so Merle's letting Michonne go. I don't remember this. That was a great roll out of the car by Merle, and now he's ambushed the ambushers. Ooh, but now they've caught Merle, and now the governor is giving him the boots. Ooh, did the governor just bite off 2 of his fingers? Oh, I'm getting choked up here with this proposal. It's not really a proposal. He just gives her the ring, and she says yes. And wow, great speech from Rick there. It's almost the live together, die alone speech from Lost. Yeah. I don't know why that just occurred to me. Yeah, sure. And Daryl seeing the aftermath of what happened here at this place, right, where the governor was. Oh, and he just found Merle. Oh, and it's a sad moment. He had to put his brother down, and that great makeup effects though on Rooker. Wow.
Yeah.
They kept like the fresh zombies had a certain look from Amy on, Andrea's sister, but. He reminded me too, I like the style with which Merle got that sort of herd of zombies to follow his car. First he just sat there playing like punk metal or something, and they came around and he was chuckling and swigging booze.
Trying to give them booze,
then he just takes off slow, and I think this episode had a good cinematography. Like at one point Daryl's coming down looking for Merle in the bowels of the prison, and the camera's like over his shoulder as he has his crossbow out in case any zombies pop out, and comes around the corner, and then there's Merle and he lowers it, and I don't know, it just felt like cinematic and well done.
It's a great one. It's so good. Well, Jacob Decker says, yes, thank you for this community. I'm just in awe that I still have someone to talk and debate with about episodes, characters, development of characters. It's just so much fun after all this time that we can still love this show with our niche group. Don't get bit, y'all.
Well
I will
said.
try not to, Jacob. Well said.
Yeah, good job. I'm glad you feel that way. Andy Fisher says, Dear J. Lou, thank you again for the wonderful podcast. You're welcome. I'm glad you're with us, Andy. I enjoy hearing what you and the listeners think about this wonderful show. This sorrowful life is about betrayal and bravery in the worst of situations. Season 3 does an awesome job putting beloved characters in sorrowful /betrayal/deadly situations, and then watching as they fight their way through /out of it. I love every scene in this episode, and I think it's one of the best episodes in the series. Can you believe that Rick and Daryl were so scared and hopeless that the betrayal of Michonne made sense to them? Almost not, honestly. Merle is such an iconic character.
Jason's like, no.
Merle is such an iconic character, crazy, hilarious, dangerous, and the ending was such a surprise. I think I think, at the time I thought maybe Michael Rooker just wanted to sign on for one season, but it seems like in panels he's sort of come off like, no, he didn't have a choice. They wanted him to go. But I think it was better for his career. He went on to do a bunch of movies after that.
I think Merle was with us for the perfect amount of time, did what he needed to do.
Unlike
I think more would have been too much. Yeah. Yeah. Lily Finkel says, not episode specific, but over the past few months, I binged every episode of the pod except Daryl. I love him, but I just haven't paid to stream it yet. And you guys were my number one podcast on Spotify Wrapped.
We just spoiled something for her, I realized.
Yeah, we just spoiled
Lily.
something. I'm so sorry, Lily. I'm sorry. Please still listen to us, Lily. I started watching The Walking Dead when it first aired and watched every episode with my dad until Glenn died. I'm actually the same age as Chandler Riggs.
That blows my mind.
That's incredible.
Because we interviewed
Lily.
him when he was like 8 years old in the back of his car.
Like,
yeah.
I went back and finished the series last year and then watched Fear, had to power through. And after that, I just wanted more. I'm so happy I found this pod. You all have the best commentary and bring up details I never would have known. And also, none of my friends want to hear me talk about The Walking Dead, so I needed this. Thanks, Jason and Lucy and Karen and everyone else. Oh, thank you, Lily.
That's really cool.
Do you know, Jason, Spotify did not reach out for us to do one of those thank you listener videos. Taylor Swift got to do one. We didn't get asked.
Well,
rude.
They asked and I said no, so.
Aww.
I was like,
nerds.
Lily, I think it'd be fun if you call in sometime.
Yeah, do it.
Jody Langridge says, Michael Rooker is such a great actor, and this episode showcased his talent. So true. We had so many one-on-one conversations. Rick asking Merle, do you even know why you do the things that you do? And Merle eventually replying, no, I don't. I'm a damn mystery to me. Merle telling Carol she's a late bloomer. Daryl telling Glenn that Merle will make it right. Daryl telling Merle he wants his brother back. Michonne telling Merle that they can just go back. Glenn telling Herschel he wants to marry Maggie and then giving Maggie that ring, which we all hope he boiled for at least a half hour.
It looked shiny, so fingers crossed.
It looked nice and clean. Daryl telling... You can cross those two fingers. Daryl tells Rick he's family too, which always brings a tear to my eye. Rick's speech to the group, all the while rolling between his fingers the bullet that killed Lori. I did not notice that.
I did not notice that. I noticed his wedding ring, but I didn't notice that. Holy moly.
She says he picked it up from the floor where her body was and has been carrying it in his pocket ever since. Interesting. That adds more weight to the scene. It has always stuck in my mind since I heard Andy Lincoln talk about it in an interview. Then, of course, the heartbreak at the end for Daryl after Merle has sacrificed himself to protect his brother. This is, of course, peak Walking Dead, and I will never get tired of rewatching it. As always, thanks, Jay and Elle, for the excellent podcasting and just general chit-chatting. You're both very entertaining and make me laugh and cry when you get emotional. Oh, I'm sorry.
Aww, thanks, Jody.
Nice to hear from you, Jody.
Lovely to hear from you. Josie Bowen Echtel says, I forgot Merle's redemption arc, and I loved watching Michonne make him think and reflect. Those scenes were so character-driven and beautiful. She's so calm and collected in all situations, and so totally badass. I want to be Michonne when I grow up. Michael Rooker is phenomenal in this episode. When Daryl discovers Merle, your heart just has to break for him. Merle was a piece of shit, but there were so many feelings there. Daryl just looked like a little boy. Another thing I appreciate about Daryl is he always lets Rick know when he doesn't agree with him, though he clearly respects him in most of his choices. Daryl is such a vital part of the group, and I love that they fully see that now. Oh, Glenn asks Herschel for his blessing and wants to marry Maggie. So sweet, her soft little yes. The governor has really transformed into his full psycho self. Damn, I'm so glad Rick had his speech in front of the group. This ain't a democracy no more, except yes it is, and it should be. There's something so special about watching the show episode by episode instead of binging, which I've never done before. I discovered the show late when it was in its 11th season, holy moly, and I've come back to the rewatch committed to only watching one episode at a time. I'm loving it even more than the first time I watched, which I thought would be hard to beat. It has definitely made me less irritated at characters like Andrea and more appreciative of every little morsel of the episode. Glad you're back, Jason. It was lovely to hear Lucy and Peter last week. Can't wait to listen. bye. I'm assuming it was bye. It actually
Bye.
just says bye.
Yeah, it just
So.
says bye. That's interesting. That's a rare experience, I would say, to experience a
Yeah.
show by binging it first and then weekly. I like it.
It's interesting. I have so many thoughts now about how the experience of binging versus rewatching versus watching week to week impacts what you think about something. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
I don't know if I will ever have the experience of binging this show. I think it's always been week to week for me. And because now during the rewatch, we're doing an episode a week, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know, man. I think maybe when we used to do, like, there was more time in between seasons at first because the seasons were shorter and we would do rewatches. I would do some binging then, but starting with probably this season on, I don't think I did. Anyway, Dina says, Merle's short arc, I love it. He doesn't put on a grandiose show of being a hero. That's true. He tells Michonne nothing about what he intends to do. He fails. Only we know that he's had a sort of redemption. Well, he tells Michonne, you go back, there's something I got to do. And I'm pretty sure Michonne knows what he's going to do. But you're right. He doesn't say that right.
Tells them as well in some way. Maybe. I don't know.
A couple of moments in this episode that stand out for me is the sincere and open conversation between Merle and Michonne, yes, as well as Merle's decision to put his brother's life before his own. Also, Motorhead, which I guess was playing in Merle's car, and Daryl's inexplicable dyed and salon cut hair.
Look, he's worth it, okay?
Then maybe it's Maybelline. No, that's different. Then there's
maybe he's born with it.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. then there's don't hate him because he's beautiful.
Yep.
Then there's the line, "Man, I just want my brother back." That's a good line, and it seemed to impact Merle, I think. And then he goes, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Daryl did love Merle, flawed as he was, and he never did get his brother back as he so wanted. No. There was no satisfying reconciliation between them, which is one of the reasons Merle's arc is so compelling. It's sort of like Lori and Rick, things left undone and unsaid.
Yeah.
Nothing is tied in a neat little sparkly bow. It's great writing. Now, there's no doubt that Rick and Daryl are brothers. That bond is unshakable, and the depth of their regard for each other makes this my favorite relationship on The Walking Dead. It might be mine too. After this season, whenever Daryl talks about his brother, we know that he means Rick. It still bothered me that not long after Merle dies, he seems to be forgotten. We do see him again in those ridiculous final season montages that play while Judith waxes poetically about the meaning of life, but those scenes were so tacky that they made me squirm. I don't totally remember those. There was nothing satisfying about seeing Merle again, just a rehash of the same material. The writers were trying to make it emotional, I guess, but it didn't work for me. Then the Daryl show arrived, and in one tiny moment, the writers fixed the writing failure of the main show. Instead of a flashback of Daryl bawling over zombie Merle, we get a new authentic scene that is played beautifully by Reedus. There's a glee on his face when he first sees Mork and Mindy. The happy expression morphs quickly into sadness. The writing and acting is so good that we know Daryl's thinking of Merle even before he tells Isabel about how he and his brother found refuge in that sitcom. Most of us have complicated families and we don't always get closure in life. Daryl never received that gift with Merle, but I feel like I did. That small beat in the Daryl show brought me right back to the tragic moment when Merle lifts his head from his feast and looks at his brother with a sad, empty gaze. I'm really enjoying how the spin-offs and their quieter moments enhance the rewatch, and love that we get to talk about it all. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, that I agree. That was a lovely moment in the Daryl show, the whole Mork and Mindy bit.
I love that.
I'm thinking of little Merle and Daryl watching that together, having a good time.
Mork and Mindy and Dork and Daryl. Oh, well, I see we've got some more feedback last week's episode because someone, this dum-dum, didn't
Randy screwed it all up.
Randy screwed me over. No, he didn't.
He
Randy was an angel and sent me the feedback, and I didn't read the messages right. So, Randy, you're a gem. We love you. So here are the 3 messages that we didn't get around to reading last week. Danielle, Andy, and Rachel, I'm very sorry. I hope that you can forgive me. We'll start with Danielle, Dement Yost. This is such a creepy episode. I love the tension and the relief when she makes it to the prison that's so abruptly taken away. I
Yeah.
generally dislike Laurie Holden in this role, but she is really good in this episode. The governor is unhinged. I
Right.
agree with all of that,
Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And that's what I was saying before about like Merle doesn't get the same breaks as Rick because Merle's an annoying asshole and Rick is this leader type. I feel like
Mhm.
that's similar on a meta level with Andrea in this role because she comes off
Yeah.
so smug that we don't give her
Mhm.
the same grace for a lot. I mean, she didn't make great decisions all the way through, I will admit, but I feel like if I try to just look at it objectively, that I have more sympathy for her, especially during this rewatch than I did last time overall.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Andy Fisher says, I'm praying,
Mhm.
because that was called The Prey, I guess. Dear
It's called
J.
Prey.
Lou, I love the theme of fear and courage in Prey, but I'm so over the governor. I love the
Mhm.
episodes in The Walking Dead where characters have to face their fears. In this episode, several characters are pushed to their breaking points, and each one decides to stand their ground in their own way. Andrea finally confronts her fear, about 20 episodes too late. Milton, Sasha, and Tyrese also face their fears in this episode in different ways and with different levels of success. The Walking Dead Season 3 does an amazing job of putting its characters in these extreme situations and then turning everything up to 100. How do we stand up to evil? Are we brave enough? American flag, 5 pizzas, and a ring. And I think about Milton when he says that, how Milton was standing up to the governor.
Milton. I like Milton. Obviously, I've been thinking about Milton a lot this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, I recommend going back. I don't know if you heard it before, but the interview
Listening
with
to your
Dallas
interview, right?
Roberts. Yes. It was
Yeah.
so good. That was one of my favorite interviews with an actor.
I fully thought Dallas Roberts and the comedian Mike Birbiglia were the same person for quite a long time. So it's good to know A, that they're not, and B, that I should go and check out the interview.
Yeah, I recommend it. I'd be interested to know what you thought.
Finally, we've got Rachel Teal Edwards who says, I don't know if I love this episode or hate it, but it always sticks out as one of the most memorable because of how disturbing it is. I find myself yelling at Andrea every time, why are you running through an open field? Why are you just standing there when you hear his truck coming? Hit the deck! Why are you going in the building? It's like one of those nightmares where you're being chased by a murderer and no matter how fast you try to run, you're in slow motion. Except instead of being in slow motion, you make every terrible decision you could possibly make in trying to evade capture.
Let's see. Like,
I knew you were going to come back
well,
at this.
yeah, I want to
it.
know.
No,
Let's see. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to say yet, but why are you just standing there when you hear his truck coming hit the deck? That's probably good. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Why are you going in the building? Well, I think you don't want to be out in the open when you're being chased by a vehicle. So that sort of made sense. And those are the only two things. Yeah.
Right? Why are you running through an open field? Why are you just standing there? Why are you going in the building? For me, it's also why didn't you steal the truck?
Well, you don't have the key. How are you going to take a car when you don't have the key?
Well, you might have left the keys in it. Or
I don't leave the key in my car.
Hotwire it. Wouldn't you have learned to hotwire by this point?
Maybe, but when you've got some psycho chasing you, I don't know.
This is after she thinks he's dead. She's left him in the pile of walkers.
Yeah. I guess she could try, but maybe she doesn't
God,
know how
Jason,
to hotwire a car.
You love Andrea. Stop loving Andrea so much.
I don't know if it was just you guys or someone else, but it might have been just you or two people said, why didn't she take the truck? And my first thought was, why doesn't anyone take any car? Because you don't have the keys. I don't know how to hotwire a car. Maybe she knew, but I don't know.
I feel like you would learn quickly in the apocalypse how to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be one of the first things I'd want to learn.
We used to have this Volkswagen van that we had to hotwire every time we wanted to get it started when I was a little kid. And now I'm like, did my stepdad steal that van? I don't think so, but
you're
why the
questioning
fuck did
some stuff. You're
like, he was a mechanic.
Why don't we have a key?
I don't know.
Interesting. Rachel goes on, says, but it is really suspenseful and a good hour of horror until it ends with the governor magically appearing out of nowhere because once again, he's apparently invincible. Wait, does it take Andrea all night to get to the prison? I thought it was only like 5 miles away. This timeline is wonky. I do treasure every scene with Tyrese and Sasha, though, because I love them so. I can't wait for their companions to die horrible deaths. The way Tyrese says, like, you looked out for Donna, provoking that jackass into a fight, so fun to see his temper come out for the first time. I love the landscape, colors, and scenery in this episode. Late fall has such perfect zombie apocalypse vibes. Lucy, I'm glad you mentioned last week that you're trying to get back into the rewatch mindset after the hiatus. I think I'm in the same place and maybe just over season 3 at this point, ready to move on to much better things in season 4.
Season
Not
4 is
long
pretty
now,
great.
Rachel.
Yep.
Are we going to start this side of Christmas, do you think?
I think so. I was thinking about, I don't know, my schedule is gonna get really busy really fast with Squid Game coming up and stuff, but I was thinking since Silo is last time, Veronica and Amelie and I did 2 episodes, one about halfway through and one at the end, that maybe after season 3 we'll break and do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right, that is our show, episode 615. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Next episode, it's the season 3 finale, Walking Dead season 3, episode 16, Welcome to the Tombs. We're going to have Karen on with us to talk about what it was like for her and I to fly out there and be zombies in this episode.
I actually cannot wait. I'm still fangirling. I know you guys now, but I'm still fangirling. I'm still like, oh my god, guess what? I'm going to do the podcast with Jen and Karen this week.
We both fangirl over you too, so.
It's been 10 years of mutual fanage. Yay! If you want to write in or leave us a voice message about it, you can find all our contact information at podcastica.com.
Yeah, and while you're there, check out our other podcast, one that we just decided to do because Paik and Daphne started watching Skeleton Crew, the new Star Wars show with Jude Law, and they love it. And I'm like, how about you guys take a break from Run for Your Lives and cover Skeleton Crew? And they said yes. So
amazing.
That means their plan is to have the first episode out covering the first 3 episodes of that show Friday after you hear this.